Hi, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are talking about budget staples, and we're looking at mana rocks today. So this is our mana rock video. So first of all, we have to talk about what is a mana rock, right? There are many different definitions. This actually caused a little bit of a kerfuffle before, and I think some people only consider it a mana rock if it taps for colored mana, is kind of at least what I think they're talking about. I'm really not even sure. And so if it taps for colorless, they think it is not a mana rock. Anything that taps for mana is what I'm referring to as an artifact that makes mana, is all I mean by a mana rock, okay? An artifact that makes mana. That's it, you know? Also, it is important to point out that we are going to be focusing on budget options, things that are $2 and under. I know a lot of people are like, hey, $5 and under is budget. Oh boy, no. Anyway, all right. So, getting started with the 2 cost ones, we're going to look at some 2 mana value ones first, and Star Compass. So, a lot of what you want to consider in mana rocks is, first of all, their limitations. Second, how do they help, right? What else do they do? Most mana rocks make mana, but there's like other things they can do, at least. Anyway, this comes into play tapped, which is definitely a limitation, right? First round, you're not getting mana from it. You may only add land of a basic land type you already have. So this is not mana fixing. A lot of times you want something that is going to make mana that you need, not mana you already have, right? So basically, if you have an island and you play this, it comes in tapped. Next turn, you can make a blue mana. So it is not mana fixing. It is not like if you need more different colors of mana, this does not do that. Again, it is only 74 cents, so that's not bad. But yeah, for mono or dual colored decks, I think this is actually very good because you'll be able to get that extra mana that you need. And it will let you, again, if, for instance, if you're playing like Gruul, which is red-green, if you have a mountain or even just something that creates 2 different colors of mana, you can still make those colors of mana. So anything with a mana cost that has 2 pips, where it's like maybe red-red or green-green or red-green, you'll be able to do that with this. So it is good for that. Again, but it's limited usefulness, not terrible, is what I would say. Anyway, going on to another 2-colored one, Pillar of Origins. This one is 39 cents. And it has an ETB, enter the battlefield effect. So when it comes into the battlefield, you choose a creature type, right? You'll say like wizards or sphinxes or zombies or whatever, right? Add 1 mana of any color. The limitation on this one is very different though. Only use this to cast creatures of the chosen type. So you can make any color mana you want, but you can only use it to cast, first of all, creatures, and secondly, of that specific type of creature, right? So it doesn't come in untapped or anything like that, but it does have other limitations. And Thought Vessel. So this is, I even noted on here, this is easily the most well-known one on my list, but it is only $124. The reason why I put it on the list is because it has come down significantly in price. You have no maximum hand size. Again, remember, it's as long as it's on the battlefield, not for the rest of the game. There are a lot of effects like instance and like Finale of Revelation, I think. If you cast it with X being more than 5, the rest of the game you have no maximum hand size. This is not that, right? No maximum hand size as long as thought vessel's on the battlefield. If someone kills it, you lose. Your hand size is back to 7, right? Anyway, add 1 colorless mana, only colorless, so there's the limitation. And yeah, no maximum hand size when it's on the battlefield is the limitation to that effect as well. Okay. Liquid Metal Toric. So again, you can add for a colorless tap for a colorless to add 1. Yeah, to add 1 colorless. Anyway. And you can also tap it to make target non-land permanent also an artifact in addition to its other types. Adding types to a card is not a common effect, right? It can be very useful if you have lots of ways to, say, destroy artifacts, make anything an artifact, right? If someone has an enchantment that's a problem, make it an artifact by tapping this and then kill it with a spell that kills artifacts. This just gives you more options about how to kill things. You could potentially actually use this to your advantage. Like, say for instance, if you have something where it says artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Take a creature, make it an artifact as well. It's an artifact creature. It gets the +1/+1. So you could use this both to... It's very flexible, is what I'm saying. It's flexible on how you can use it. Okay, and Relic of Legends. We are into the 3 mana cost ones now. This one I think is very good. I haven't used this. I really should have by now. Add 1 mana of any color. Right? Tap to add 1 mana of any color. So that's good. It's not colorless. And you can tap an untapped legendary creature you control to add 1 mana of any color. Again, not just one creature. As long as if it's legendary, let's say you have 5 legendary untapped creatures, tap all 5 of them, you've got 5 mana. This I think is very underrated. 39 cents, it should be a lot more expensive, I think. Especially if you've got like what I've incorrectly said with the Defiler of Dreams, or was it, anyway. Instinct. I think it was Defiler of Instinct. Anyway, the blue one. This actually could do that. You could have, if you have blue and you have 2 open legendary creatures, that is also mana for your counterspell, right? So people will have to be like, oh, does he have untapped legendary creatures, not just untapped islands? So there's a lot of kind of like mind games you can do with this as well. Excellent mana source, and yeah, most importantly, you don't have to do this on your turn. It's anytime, right? If you have an untapped legendary creature, that's an untapped land, basically, of any color. Component pouch. So the next few, I'm looking at and I'm going, oh, I want to make a proliferate deck because of items like this. Because holy cow. Anyway, you can tap it to remove a component counter and add 2 mana of different colors. Okay, so the limitation here is that they do have to be different colors. A lot of times you want different colors though, right? So if you need to create 2 green, this does not do that. No. But if you need 2 of different colors, or let's say you've got a swamp and you need 2 black, it can make the extra black, right? And the other thing it does is you can tap to roll a d20 to put component counters on the couch. The couch. I'm sitting on a couch. I think that's why I said it. Component pouch. Component pouch. The couch. Anyway. So if you roll a 1 to 9, put a counter on component pouch, and 10 to 20, again that's 55%, not 50%, because 10 to 20 is 55% chance to put 2 counters on it. And if you start proliferating them, you can just keep using this, right? So anyway, very good, 55 cents only. I think in dual color deck, it's extremely useful. And empowered auto generator. I'm already losing the ability to talk, so that's fun. Enters the battlefield tapped again. So that is kind of an annoying limitation, but it makes up for it very quickly. This does cost 4, so it's more expensive than like the... I think the standard is kind of 3, and you can get them for 2. This costs 4. Tap to put a charge counter on it, and you get 1 mana of any color equal to the number of charge counters on it. So again, you tap it once, you put a charge counter on, you get 1 mana. Then you can proliferate that charge counter, right? So let's say you proliferate 6 times. The next turn, you're going to be tapping it and adding another counter, and then all of them. That would be 8, right? 8 mana. So this gets carried away very, very quickly. I think even under normal circumstances, if you're just tapping it, not proliferating, first turn, 1 mana, second turn, 2 mana, third turn, 3, fourth turn, 4. Like it just, this gets carried away so fast. 165. I think almost any deck could use this. And yeah, you can only make 1 color of mana at a time, which is a little bit of a limitation, but not much, right? Again, it costs 4, so if you're in your 4th round or 3rd round and you still need mana fixing, this can fix for 1 color, sure. So it has a limited ability to do that. Anyway, Pyramid of the Pantheon. This is only 1 to cast, but there is a big but here. It kind of ends up almost being 4 again. I'll get into that though. But anyway. So, at first when it comes into play, you have to pay 2 colorless to get 1 mana. Again, so your net minus 1 mana. To add any color to your mana to your color mana to your mana pool, and then put a brick counter on Pyramid of the Pantheon. Once you do that 3 times, so again you're spending 6 mana and you're getting 3, right? 6 mana and you're getting 3 back, and it costs 1. So net is 4, right? It costs you 4. And then after that, it makes add 3 mana of any 1 color of your choice to your mana pool. It makes 3 mana every time you tap it. So turn 4, you're kind of operating at a loss for the first 3 turns, is there? Turn 4, 3 mana every turn. Which is very, very good. Once again, it's 3 mana of 1 color. So it has a limited ability to kind of mana fix, but still, 3 mana for every time you tap. That's quite good. And also, again, proliferate. If you get 1 brick counter, proliferate the other 2. Turn 3, you're already making 3 mana, right? So it's very easy to get around that. But yeah, proliferate mana rocks, I think are very, very underutilized. Sky Cave Relic. This was actually the last thing I added to the list. So someone recommended it and I just got it in on time. This is a 3 cost with a kicker 3. Again, kicker 3. Kicker always means it just does something extra. So tap to add 1 mana of any color. Huh, okay, yeah. Also indestructible. That's nice, you know. Kicker 3, if you pay 3 extra, so if you pay 6 in total, create 2 tap token copies of Sky Cave Relic. Once again, the first turn, they're tapped, so they're not going to do anything. Turn 2, you're tapping, there's 3 of them. you're getting 3 mana every turn 2. It does cost you 6, but you catch up pretty quick, right? Also, with a lot of things, where if you have more artifacts on just down, you're going to be able to get bonuses. Any kind of artifact deck, like I have a Saheeli deck, I would love to put this in a Saheeli deck. $1.90. Really not bad at all. Okay, and here we're getting into kind of some weirder ones, but they're very situationally useful, I think. Ebony Fly. This also goes back to costing only 2, so that's a nice thing, right? But it only taps for 1 colorless again. So that is a limitation, but if you paying for is steep. Okay, that is inefficient, definitely inefficient, but it can become an XX insect creature where X is the result of rolling a D6. So again, you'll take a 6-sided dice or a D6 and roll it, and whatever you get is its power. Again, you could roll a 6 and then you have a 6/6, which is quite good, right? A flying 6/6 is nothing to sneeze at, but you probably want to combine it with a deck where you're rolling dice a lot and you get to roll 2 dice. There's a lot of effects, especially from the Dungeons & Dragons set. What is the first one called? Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, yeah. That set, that you can, a lot of dice things, you get to roll twice when it says roll once and take the higher result. So you'd want something like that. And there's a lot of other things where it's like if you roll a die, your opponents take 1 damage or something like that, right? So you're looking for effects to kind of stack up on that. Whenever Ebony Fly attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. So you're giving evasion to other things, right? Again, this can be very, very useful, but it's situational. If you need to give something flying, hey, this is great, you know? Repeatable. The fact that it's repeatable is the main thing. 4 mana, still steep to give something flying, right? But it's repeatable, that makes a big difference. I think that's something that is undervalued. Also, this is something I look at and say, oh, it's kind of like a vehicle, but it costs mana. Instead of tapping, you know, tapping creatures or token creatures, it's costing you mana, which is not ideal. I think I would, in most cases, I would rather have a vehicle. But anyway, it is cheap, at least $124 and only 2 mana to cast. Here's another weird one. I almost didn't put this in, honestly, but it is situationally useful. Okay, tap to add 1 mana of any color, first of all. So it does have the tap to add any color. Or you can pay 5 and tap target creature. The major limitation there is that that is inefficient, right? There are much, much cheaper ways to tap creatures, especially if you have white. You should be able to pay 1 white to tap a creature, right? But this is 5. Well, really, it's, and again, you're tapping a mana rock, so it's like 6, really, because the one you would get from this is not getting, you're not making it. So it costs you 5, and you don't get 1. So it's kind of like it costs you 6. But anyway. It's something that can be very, very useful in a deck, though. If it's something your deck needs, then that's amazing, right? And Midnight Clock. This is also a weird one. Anyway, tap to add 1 blue mana. A lot of mana rocks will either say colorless or any color. This is 1 blue. It specifies 1 blue. Casting cost is also 2 and a blue. Okay, so you need a blue to cast it, and it makes a blue. Basically not mana fixing. This does not mana fix, right? So, You need to have something that makes blue, and then it makes a blue. Yeah, anyway. If you pay 2 and a blue, you can put an hour counter on midnight clock. The thing to note about that is that you do not need to tap it. So you can tap it for a blue, and use that blue and 2 colorless to put a counter on it. Or anything else, right? You can do this as many times as you want in a turn. And whether it's tapped or not, it doesn't matter. You can just keep putting them on there. This is once again something that I think would benefit from proliferate quite a bit. Once the 12th counter is put on midnight clock, midnight, yeah. Shuffle your hand and graveyard into your deck, then draw 7 cards. So that is kind of a strange effect, but it can be very good. If your deck is lacking card draw, or if you keep finding like into the game you're just not able to keep your hand full, or it keeps like bottoming out, this is one potential solution. I think if you've got blue, you've got a lot of solutions, but this is something to keep in mind, right? Again, it costs 3. It can make 1 colored mana, which I think is good, and it lets you just, with reasonable accuracy, you can tell when you're going to be able to draw, right? 7 cards. You have to shuffle everything and then draw. Also, if you are playing some kind of mill strategy and you're worried about milling yourself out and losing, that'll let you just put everything, your entire graveyard, back into your deck. So, again, situational, but very, very useful. At the right time, this could save you. This absolutely could. Also, the fact that you can put an hour counter on at any time means that you're actually in control, right? You do need 12 of those counters, so you don't want to sit around doing 1 every turn. At the beginning of every turn, you put 1 on there. But anyway, you don't want to leave it. If your game is more than 12 rounds long, that's a different issue. But anyway, 67 cents for this one. 67 cents. Again, in the right deck, it is very, very good. Which mana rock is right for your deck? So there are hundreds of different possible choices when it comes to any card in Magic, including mana rocks. What you should look for is, first of all, synergy. Second, filling gaps, right? Something where it's like, oh, this is a weakness in my deck. I need to make up for the weakness. I need to gap fill or have synergy. Those are the 2 main things you're always looking for when building any deck in the game whatsoever. It doesn't matter what format or anything like that. Synergy, filling gaps, right? One of the main things to ask yourself is how many colors do you need to produce, right? So if you're like mono blue, Midnight Clock is fine. If you're Wooburg, if you're all 5 colors, you got to get a whole bunch of things that make that you can make any color of mana, right? So, also, are there any other functions your deck needs? Like, is it a kindred deck, right? Is it all 1 creature type? If it is, then hey, you got options for that can make any color mana for the creature you want. Anyway, okay, just something to think on, and I will see you guys next time. Alright, thank you very much, and please subscribe if you can. That would be much appreciated. Bye-bye. Take it easy.